talk about the game that just finished right now between Washington and Texas, man. What's your guys' thoughts now that this game's over?
Go ahead,
Okay.
Eva. We're gonna let you go first. This is your team.
Okay. So I'm actually less disappointed than I expected to be, and this is why. I picked Michigan and Texas in national title game in the preseason. Keo knows I actually had Michigan versus Texas in the preseason. I had Michigan win it all, and I thought they were the best team heading into the season. And I knew this Texas Washington rematch from last year will be very similar. It will come down to can Texas DBs stop Washington's wideouts. And I picked Texas because I thought Texas would get to Michael Penix, and that's what would help the secondary. And they just couldn't do it. It just I don't remember one sack. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Texas never had a sack on Penix. He had all day to throw. The defense stepped up in the fourth quarter. I will say that. They made a lot of stops in the fourth quarter, but then the offense had those stupid fumbles. One with CJ Baxter, one with Jaden Blue after he busted out a screen pass. And then Texas honestly was lucky to even be in the end with that Jordan Whittington. You could argue that was offensive interference. They didn't call it. And then now Sark had 4 chances in the end. I didn't like the first play call. It was a screen to Jaden Blue that went from -1 yard with 11 seconds to go. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'm losing it. I'm like, throw it in the end zone. You know, I didn't understand that play call. Anyways, Texas got lucky. They still got 3 shots in the end. At the end of the day, I'm not that upset because we killed ourselves. The 2 fumbles. And then we couldn't defend those wideouts at all. We did not make adjustments from last year's game against Washington. We did not get any stops when needed most. I can't even be disappointed. It was everyone knew this game would be that high scoring, and it would come down to can Texas stop Washington's wideouts, and they couldn't do it. It is what it is. Washington's undefeated. I'm tired of people disrespecting Washington though. People are like, oh, Georgia's better. They should be in this and that. Washington's undefeated. They beat Oregon twice. They beat Texas. They won maybe the toughest conference in college football this year. They're going to give Michigan a tough game. So while I'm disappointed for my Longhorns, I can't be too disappointed. We knew what would be in front of us, and we did not. We just couldn't stop them. And it is what it is, and we were lucky to even have those chances in the end.
Okay, go ahead, Rick. I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah, I was actually I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed both games, but we're talking about this one first. But I actually got like towards the end of the third quarter, I kind of start like going to YouTube and just watching stuff because I thought it was over. I'm not gonna lie, like y'all got killed in the third quarter. Texas was getting killed in the third quarter, and I'm just like, once I heard Sarkisian say y'all barely had the ball, I'm like, damn, they didn't in the third quarter. And I'm like, it's over.
We had 5 plays on offense in the third quarter.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's over. So I kind of was in and out the game, but then I seen y'all score, and I'm like, all right, they'll go for the onside kick, and I'm like, they ain't get it, but y'all got the ball back through that nice deep bomb. So I can't remember the person's name.
Whittington.
Y'all got to about then y'all got to about the 14-yard line, the first down. You mentioned it. You touched on it real quick. The first or second play, y'all had enough time. 30 seconds about, I think, to correct me if I'm wrong, about 30 seconds left. Y'all had enough time to do a wide receiver screen just to get it closer for y'all to get like something. Even if y'all didn't get the first, because in college the clock stops for the first down. But even if you didn't get the first, you could have got the ball, spiked it down, maybe 18 seconds left. Now y'all at least like at the 8-yard line, let's say, if it worked out a wide receiver screen, and then start throwing it to the end zone. I didn't like the play calling by Sark. I think he panicked. When they got down there, I thought they had a great chance to steal that game because they was out of that game and they had a great opportunity. Great job for them fighting back though. They fought back because I really tapped out in the fourth quarter. It's late in the East Coast and they kept fighting. But I thought Sark should have did a wide receiver screen to one of them receivers. And Bailey, what's y'all main receiver name? Because I bet on him and he ain't do shit. Mitchell, I think his name is.
Well, there's A.D. Mitchell, number 5, and then there's Xavier Worthy on the other side, number 1.
Mitchell, I didn't see him really do much today.
He scored.
He scored, and then on the last play of the game, they threw another fade to him, and it was just a good play by the defensive back.
Yeah, I had his yards. I didn't have his TD, but yeah, I thought y'all did a great job coming back though. But Washington, they earned it, man. Like you said, people have been saying they don't deserve to be there and everything, and they showed it because I thought Texas was gonna be out physical them personally. And I'll talk about the championship when we get to that. But shout out to Washington, Texas, good fight. I mean, y'all kept me entertained up 1 o'clock in the morning, shit. So
Yeah. I mean, I
Nah,
can't like I said, I can't be disappointed too much just because Washington was better all game. But go ahead, X.
nah. I will say this though, man. That was both games. I know we're gonna talk about the other game in a second. Fire matchups, fire games. I do think the Texas Washington game had a lot of drama at the end of it because of the Dylan Johnson injury. That injury doesn't happen. I don't think we have as much not say controversy. I don't use the word controversy, but the nerves going as much as we did at the end of that game because Washington did have that game sold up pretty much until that injury happened, and then once that injury happened, that's when all the craziness happened. But watching the game, two very, very, very um, close teams. You could tell both teams pretty much ended with Washington was a little bit over 500. Texas was right at 500 yards or right underneath the 2 yards away from 500 total. So when I look at the game, the time of possession played a big factor. It felt like Washington just owned the time of possession, which they did. Y'all just said the third quarter, which was they outscored them 10-0 in that quarter, which was a big, big difference in this game. Was one factor. The second thing was the two turnovers to the one for Washington. And then I'll say this, and this is no shot at Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers played a decent game. Michael Penix played a phenomenal game. That's the difference. That if you're gonna break it down, we're just gonna call it what it is. Michael Penix put on a quarterback clinic. He was dropping dimes, and I'm talking about he was launching the ball 50 yards in the air. And it was like he was handing the ball off to the receivers. I mean, it was insane to watch. Where I don't know why it's insane for me because I actually watched Michael Penix all year long. Watched Michael Penix when he was at Indiana, and he's been a good quarterback. He reminds me of, and I know we're gonna do, we talk about all this stuff on the NBS show, but I think Michael Penix reminds me of. So he throws the ball somewhat like a Steve McNair. I don't know how y'all feel about it. To me, that's what I see. Not as far as the girth. Steve McNair was a lot bigger, obviously, but he has like this McNair mechanics to me that's weird, but he gets it done, just like McNair got it done. So I want to say shout out to Michael Penix, man. But overall, I think the time of possession, the turnovers, the third quarter, and then ultimately the main thing, Michael Penix, man, was the difference in this game. Shout out to Texas. They shouldn't be holding their heads down after losing to Washington. Like Iman said, Washington's a very good team. That's why I picked them to beat Texas this week because I felt like, no, everybody's been disrespecting this team. Like they ain't just go undefeated. Like they didn't just beat Oregon twice. Like let's show some respect to Washington. But congratulations to Washington. I think that those are the major keys as far as the difference to victory.
Um, before I get to this game, I after I watching both of these games, I think the committee was right this year. All four teams definitely deserve to be in the playoffs based off of what all four of these teams did. You've seen all both of these games. All these games was very competitive and really entertaining. Now, as far as the Texas and Washington game, I thought this game was over. That's why I hit every single person up. I said, "Yo, you ready?" And then next thing you know, I seen Texas was getting the ball with 54 seconds left. I was like, "Wait, oh, hold on, wait a minute." And Quinn Ewers made some big plays to those wide receivers, but obviously it wasn't enough. The huge part and the huge impact was with Michael Penix, over 420 yards passing. They had a lot of explosive big plays in this game. Both they had two wide receivers going over 100 yards. I kind of expected Xavier Worthy to step up a little bit more. I thought he was going to make more of an impact in this game, and it was in the even though I think Texas outrushed them in this game also, and it didn't make a difference because that passing game was a huge factor in this game. And I honestly feel like Washington and Michael Penix, they a lot of people said this team don't deserve to be there. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs, and they proved people wrong, advancing to the national title game. And obviously, there's some people out there that think that Penix deserves to win the Heisman. Now, if the Heisman was was going to be determined right after the national championship game, I think Penix would have won the Heisman just based off of the impact that he had in this game, because this was considered a Heisman moment game. 420 yards, 2 touchdowns, 29 for 38. He did everything right in this game, man, and it was a really good performance by him. By him, Washington made a huge statement in this game, and they won this game, man. So props to Washington, props to Texas for not giving up in this game, and they continue to fight in this game and make this game really entertaining. Now, let's move
Before
on
you
over
go on,
to.
I want
Go
hey
ahead.
Key, before
Go
you
ahead.
go on, X has said made a comparison for Penix. He said Steve. I think you got the wrong Steve. I thought he reminds me of Steve Young, the San Francisco Steve Young, not the Tampa Bay Bucks that ran around all crazy. That he told to me that
Okay.
yeah, I'm old enough to remember him on the Bucks. Yeah, But now he reminds me of Steve Young. He a lefty, correct, Penix?
Yep.
Question for just real quick before you move on. I got a question for y'all. Is he an NFL starter?
I think it
Who?
depends on the fit.
Yeah, I think it depends on. I love what I saw from him today, because when you do things in the regular season, that's one thing. When the lights are brightest, that's what I want to see. When you do stuff in the regular season, that's cool. I ain't tripping. A lot of quarterbacks do well, but tonight, to me, he really solidified himself for me, because I was like, he stepped up in the pocket, he moved around, made plays. I really like what I saw. I don't know if I can say a starter, because I said Jane Daniels to me is Teddy Bridgewater all over again.
Mm,
so,
mm.
so, I don't know how I feel about Michael Penix. I think he's a project. I think you got to work with him. I'm not going to say he's a day one starter. He's not Andrew Luck coming out in the draft. Let's not kid ourselves. But, he has a chance to be a good player in the NFL.
Um, the and for before we end to go to the next game, 420 yards by Penix was the most in the Sugar Bowl game outside of Joe Burrow. I think he had 490, 494 around that range.
Who Joe Burrow did it against?
Clemson, huh?
Clemson.
Clemson.
Yeah, yeah,
So you might
Clemson.
as well. So I will put that as like 700 because Clemson defense back then was crazy. Texas ain't got no defense. Real talk. Like Clemson back then, their defense was one of the best defenses in a while. Like they took that rank from Bama, the best defense for a while. So
All right. Let's go to the first game that happened, man. It was Alabama versus Michigan. Um, what's your thoughts on this game now? Now that the game's over, obviously Michigan ends up winning this game in overtime, 27-20.
All right, I'll go next. Honestly, kind of the game I expected, to be honest. I picked Michigan going in. I thought Michigan was better all year. I thought it would be back and forth. We knew Michigan's game plan would be force Milrow to throw and limit him, running the ball. And overall, the defense was good, limiting Milrow. He had a couple long runs there, but nothing too crazy. The offense stepped up in the second half. The only reason I think Michigan even allowed Alabama to be in this game at times because they're stupid special teams. The kicker missed the extra point, missed a field goal. They had that fumble on a punt return. They almost fumbled another one. I never watched that game and thought Alabama was better. I thought Michigan was better the whole time. Obviously, at times, Alabama led the game, but I just thought it never got away from Michigan. McCarthy was phenomenal when needed most. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They relied on that run game in the end. And I knew on that 4th down that it would be a Milrow draw. I thought the play call was too obvious.
It was.
I think you got to call a pass play there and spread your receivers out. If he's not open, you tell Milrow to run. Or if he doesn't see a throw there, then you tell him to run. But you don't make it an obvious draw play, a quarterback draw play. I thought that was too obvious. And as soon as I saw he was not even looking for the pass at the beginning of the play, I was like, okay, he's going to get stopped, and he did. Michigan had, I think, 4 sacks in the first half. I thought a phenomenal game plan by Harbaugh. I thought the Texas Washington game for me was harder to predict. I had Michigan all the way, kind of the game I expected. Thought they were the better team all year, and I expect Michigan to win on against Washington. I think that they've been the best team up and down all year, and I think they have an NFL type roster. They have so many guys going to NFL from this roster, especially on the offensive and defensive lines. Their lines are incredible. So honestly, I never thought Alabama wanted to win this game, but Alabama will be back. Milroe's coming back. McClellan is coming back. I believe that Isaiah Bond will be back. Alabama's fine. You can't win it every year. They'll be back, and I just thought the better team won, but it was an awesome game to watch going into overtime.
Yeah, yeah. I want to start. I want to rebuttal box office first. And what you said. I said the same thing, and pretty much everybody in social media, everybody said the same thing about the play call on the last play when they kept it in the quarterback hands. It was obvious. Like I feel like that's, and I said that, and I started thinking like as the day went more and more, I'm like that's a prisoner of the moment thing because the same people, me, you, and everybody else that said that was too obvious. We the same ones that was mad at the Seahawks against the Patriots for not going to their bread and butter, to not going to beast mode. And that's the obvious. At the 1 yard line. That's the obvious. Give it to him. But they didn't. But we was mad at that. But then Alabama goes to their obvious, and now we're saying it was too obvious. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's all about prison the moment. If it works, we're okay with it. If it don't work, then we're like, oh, you should have did this. That's, personal opinion, you know what I'm saying? But I thought the same exact way as you for like an hour. And then I thought about it like sometimes you get caught up in prison the moment. I could be wrong, whatever. But about the game though, I've been Michigan all year. I've been saying Michigan all year. Karoom, I think it's Karoom, that future Washington Commander running back.
Oh God!
Listen,
wow.
Blake Corum.
I should have left that out. I should have just left that out. But I thought Michigan is, to me, they're the most complete team. If you get McCarthy to give you 3 passing touchdowns, what you gonna do? I do also think though, I watching the game live, I thought Michigan lost it for a while. When Alabama kind of took over, Michigan kind of couldn't get nothing going on offense. I'm like, I don't want to see Bama. I hate Bama so much. I'm sick of them. I'm like, damn, they got it. But then somehow Michigan put it together. They did what they've been doing all year, just turning up when they need to turn up, or just smoking people if they go smoke them. I'm putting this on record now. We recording, right, Kia?
Right.
I'm putting this on record now. The championship will look very similar to last year's TCU Georgia game. Michigan's
Wow.
I made a statement in the last segment that when you said Burrow was the first yards wise the sugar thing, and I said who did Penix play? I was leading to that.
You wilding
Texas.
right now.
Listen to me. Texas defense is not like that. Texas defense is not like that. Michigan defense is gonna shit Penix. Penix might not even make it out the whole game. Keep it a buck with you, because if he takes them hits that Alabama quarterback took today, Penix is out of there. He's out of there. It might not be 59 to, what was it, 59 to 3 last year? What was it, 59-10?
It was 63 to 3, I think. And no, 62 to 7. 62.
Okay, it won't be that bad, but it's going to be a game that no one cares to watch by the third quarter, middle of third quarter. It's going to be bad. I promise you. Michigan's going to ram it down their throat, pause, and they're going to kill them. And it's going to be, I say like, it's going to be like 44 to 14 in the third quarter. Well, y'all heard it first. We're going to bring that recording back next week after the game is over. And y'all going to be like, damn, we did it again. Only you, X.
Hey, I'm not making a prediction, even though I'm the Bowl Mania champ. I'm not doing that right now. If you want my prediction, you'll get it on the MBS show this Wednesday. But
my bad.
As far as this game is concerned, I'll be the first one to say, I know Kio's going to say, you've been disrespecting Bama all year long. Woo! Yes, I have. And I kept saying, somebody can knock off Bama. Bama is not that good. They proved me wrong all year. I want to say shout out to them, all jokes aside. They proved me wrong. They came out. They beat Georgia. They beat the LSUs of the world. Kudos to them. I said on the MBS show this past Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we did the show, I said, we picked the game right after the Georgia game, I would have picked Alabama to beat Michigan just because They were so hot. They were when you hot, you gotta ride that wave. But so much time being off, I was like box off. I was like, look, Michigan, we all picked Michigan to make it to the Final Four because we knew how good they were for the most part going into the season. And I said, with that time off, that kind of takes that hotness away from Alabama. I'm taking Michigan. And I think the game, turned out to be great. Roman Wilson, that block in the back. I don't know what the hell you was doing. I was sitting there on that fourth down. I'm like, why would you clearly shoved him in the back? But then Roman Wilson made the next couple of plays that just basically got Michigan to where they was going, and which was a dub. That catch he made, that was fire. That was insane.
Huge.
And then to answer your question, Reek, as far as what you asked box office, the play where Roman Wilson scores for Michigan and ties the game, I'm thinking to myself, why Alabama didn't run something like that with Milroe? At the end of the day, a run pass option with Milroe, if you say, okay, Milroe, if it's not that, run. But if not, let me just dump it down to the tight end. Let me dump it down to the receiver. Let me dump it down to the running back coming in motion. I thought they should have ran a run pass option, and they didn't do that. That draw was not it. Michigan knew that was coming. I knew it was coming. Keo knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. Twitter knew it was coming. Box office knew it was coming. And I understand what you said as far as Marshawn Lynch in that Super Bowl, but this wasn't that, in my opinion. You was asking Milroe to get what, 3 yards? I think there was 4th and 3 at the
It
3.
was 3.
Yeah, 3
yards.
yards. So I'm saying to myself, you asking a lot when the defensive line has dominated that game and had all those sacks. I didn't love the play call. So I think outside of that, Alabama has to live with that play call. I think that if they could call it all over again, they would have done a run pass option. But it is what it is. Great game either way. Either way, Michigan, man, they showed guts and glory in that fourth quarter because that when that boy Roman Wilson pushed him in the back, I'm like, Lord. For a moment, I lost my mind because I'm like, they better not call that back. Because I knew he already got the first down, and I forgot the rule for a second. I'm like, they better not call that back.
Me too. I forgot the rule for a second because you rarely see that when an offense already gained so many
That's
yards.
right.
Right.
But it's a
Spot
spot foul. Thank God.
Yeah.
And it saved Michigan. I mean, some of these players sometimes really piss me off because it's like, realize if you already have the first down, it's unnecessary to do anything else.
That's right. I mean, it was blatant. It wasn't like it was like an accident. Like,
Right.
I'm like, dude, he got the first down. Just let him run, and they tackle him. They tackle him. It is what it is. But overall, just a great game. And I'm excited about next Monday, man. I'm not with Reek on that.
Don't be. Don't be. Don't be excited. You're gonna be bored.
Hey man. Hello, what up? Hello. I am excited.
Well, I said that I picked Michigan from the preseason, and I'm gonna stick with Michigan. I'll say my pick, but the thing is, it's an interesting matchup though because Milroe can't throw the ball like Penix, so I think he'll put more pressure on Michigan's defense because of those wideouts he has and because of his arm power. So
what sucks is though, before Keo goes, is the Dylan Johnson injury. That sucks. I was like, come on, man. Dylan Johnson only had 21 carries. I mean, he had not a lot of yards. He had 2 touchdowns, but he had 21 carries. And those carries meant something. It kept Texas honest. So I just think losing Dylan Johnson would be big time if he's not playing that national championship game.
2 things before I get to this game. It's going to be the first time since 2015 an SEC team that won't be playing in the national title game, and it's going to be the first time in 4 years that an SEC team won't be winning the national titles. So we'll be crowning new national title champions outside of the SEC. So that's going to be really good. But when it comes to this game, I feel like Alabama lost this game more than anything. Alabama had this game in their hands. when they were up 20-13, um, they had they didn't manage that, they didn't manage and melt that clock. And I felt like they could have, the play calling could have been differently to melt that clock, and they gave JJ McCarthy a lot of time left for them to take that down the field, and with a 75-yard touchdown drive to end up tying the game. And I gotta give kudos to JJ McCarthy, because I said that, yo, the pressure is on McCarthy, because McCarthy hasn't showed that these past couple games where he could lead you down the field and win you that game. And McCarthy made some big throws to Roman Wilson in this game to decide that game. McCarthy was a huge factor in this game. It was that defense. As far as this game this was a story of two halves. One half was dominated by Michigan. The second half was uh dominated by Alabama. But I felt like the dominance by Michigan in the first half was way too much for Alabama just to it was just way too much. Jalen Milroe got sacked 6 times in that game. He had a crucial fumble in that game while they were driving down the field, and it was some it was bad for Alabama. And going into overtime, man, as soon as Michigan scored that touchdown, Yvonne was like, "Yo, they're gonna stop Alabama." I was like, "No, they ain't." I thought this was gonna go to like double or triple overtime, man. But next thing you
I
know,
honestly, I honestly, sorry to cut you off, Keo. I had no
yeah,
doubt because Michigan was just waiting for an opportunity where they led in the game, and it just came down to their defense.
right, yeah, man. But it was a good game by both of these teams, and Michigan found a way to win with that defense and JJ McCarthy once again. Um, Before we go, ma'am, one last thing before I ask you guys is what was the best game between the two?
I mean, I think we all are going to agree Alabama, Michigan, just because it was back and forth to the end. Texas was down 2 touchdowns with 7 minutes to go, and
Yeah.
then they were kind of lucky to even have that last opportunity. So, um, and Alabama, Michigan went into overtime. So no doubt that was a better game, but both games were fire. I'm so happy they kept Florida State out because none of us think that Florida State had a shot without Jordan Travis. I feel bad for Florida State because with Jordan Travis, they were legit. And we saw what happened when they played Georgia. Now, I just think that the NCAA's and the committee's goal here was to get the best 2 games they could, and they got it.
Kind of piggybacking off box office, like you couldn't put Florida State in there. You couldn't have another game in the playoff, like the TCU Georgia game, even though they're gonna have one next week. You can't have another one like that. So they had to get the right teams in, which they did. But the best game to me, one thing about college football, I don't watch it as much as I used to because it's just too open. It's just too much scoring and everything. It's too easy for them to score. So I enjoyed the Michigan and Alabama game. I felt like it was just that it gave me that old gritty feel. Like it was like, how are they going to score? Both teams. Like I was like, how they going to move? How they going to continue to get first downs? Where in the Texas and Washington game, I just seen big play after big play, which was fine. The game was exciting still, but like on a consistent basis, I prefer to see make them work. I don't like this new make it easy to score shit. Like I like that work hard to get it, and that's what Bama and Michigan gave us. And so I personally think Michigan and Bama game was better, but excuse me. But Texas and Washington game turned out to be a very good game as well, though. But I enjoyed both. But shout out to both games. But give me Michigan and Alabama for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody's gonna agree on that. It's gonna be unanimous. Michigan, Alabama was incredible. It went into overtime, had a lot of highs, had a lot of lows. You're like, what the hell's going on? The first play of the game. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. It saved him because my man stepped out. But I'm saying to myself, golly, from the gate, it was out the gate just interesting game to watch. So yeah, it was definitely Michigan, Alabama.
Yeah, I'm going with Michigan, Alabama. Two storied programs. You talk about Michigan, you talk about Alabama. It would at the first game, the Rose Bowl, and it had a little everything in, including the drama behind it. So, I definitely had Michigan and Alabama, Texas and Washington was an entertaining game also, but I'm going with the very first game. But man, with that being said, man, we will be giving our predictions this Wednesday on the MBS show. And yes, Wednesdays is going to be our new time, new day. MBS show will be on every Wednesday, so make sure you go tune in. No show tomorrow, but it will be on Wednesdays. But with that being said, let's go to our shout outs.